Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours in the morning into your edge and financial freedom. Today, I've got one headline, and we know what it's about. It's about Liberation Day and reciprocal tariffs. So let's dive on in, get you prepped for some success today with that stock heat map. Got that pulled up like always for you, and let's dive on into that because we are seeing a little bit of some mixed data on this open. We're seeing Apple up 0.48 from its close yesterday, looking down in the pre-market just a little bit down 0.53. We've got Nvidia up 1.63 from its close yesterday, looking to the downside this morning, down 1.28. Got Berkshire Hathaway sitting quite neutral off of its close, up 0.08%. In the pre-market, seeing no change on that, 0.00. We've got Amazon sitting up 8% off of its close. In the pre-market, sitting down 0.92. Got Eli Lilly sitting down 2.5% from its close, looking down in the pre-market as well, down 3.36. We got ExxonMobil sitting quite neutral, up 0.09. In the pre-market, down 0.34. We've got Tesla sitting up 3.59. In the pre-market, down a whopping 2.3% right now. We've got P&G sitting quite neutral, just like Berkshire Hathaway was, up 0.08. And in the pre-market, sitting with 0.00. No change so far. Got Microsoft sitting up 1.81 off of its close. In the pre-market, looking quite neutral, down 0.5%. We've got Google sitting up 1.7. In the pre-market, also looking quite neutral, down 0.5. And we've got Meta sitting up 1.67 off of its close, looking down 0.84 in the pre-market right now. Let's hop over to the crypto side of things. We've got everything looking quite red so far. There are a few outliers like Leo and Sui and Tron, but we're seeing pretty much red across the board. We've got Bitcoin up 0.7% on the daily, Ethereum with no change on the board. We've got XRP down 2.2. We've got BNB down 2.1. We've got Solana down 2.2. We've got Doge with no change as well. Cardano sitting up 0.3. We've got Tron sitting up 1.9. We've got Ton sitting down 1.3. We've got Leo sitting up 2.3, which is not unexpected for an exchange token. We have a Chainlink but sitting down 2.7. We've got Stellar Lumens down 2.2. We've got Avalanche down 1.2. We've got Sui, another outlier, up 1.4. We've got Shiba Inu down 3.6. HBAR down 1.8. Litecoin down 2.6. And to wrap out that top 20, Polkadot down a position and 3.2% to the downside. For those fear and greeds, we are sitting at extreme fear all over again on the stock side. Not too unexpected considering how the pre-market is opening up right now to the downside. We saw that last little push up yesterday before we're seeing these reciprocal tariffs go into effect today. They have not fully been announced, and we are just awaiting on that announcement today. We've got the crypto side of things up 10 points and still in fear, looking for that neutral range as we've come up to a key level on Bitcoin. We'll kind of have to see if we can create some support at this level, or if it's just another rejection for some more harsh downside action. That daily chart's looking a little bit iffy. We'll kind of have to dive into that in a second. We do have quite a bit of liquidity to the top side of us at 86,000, which would be a nice easy grab. Would need to create some support after grabbing that liquidity if we want to continue our bullishness. We do have this 3-day looking like there's a little bit of liquidity to the top side as well, sitting in that same range. So definitely the big drag for the market makers is the upside target. You do still have all of that liquidity sitting to the bottom of us. If you start zooming that out though, this 2-week does have a bunch of liquidity sitting right underneath that $90,000 range, which we've been talking about for a while. But sure, big drag is still to the downside as it looks like we're rejecting off of a key area. You have this 3-month with all of that liquidity to the bottom side of us, and we're starting to heat up a little bit more to the top side now. You do have all of this liquidity at 100,000, and there's starting to be some hot spots to the top side back at the extreme highs that we saw at the beginning of this range. Let's hop over to that economic calendar for today. We're not really seeing too much heavy data from the U.S. today. We do have some mortgage rate applications here at 7 a.m. Eastern time. We also have ADP unemployment change at 8:15. That will be the heaviest data drop for today besides those reciprocal tariffs. I think those tariffs heavily outweigh this ADP employment change, even though it's a massive move to the upside from 77 to 105 there on the ADP employment change. So a massive move to the upside. You're also seeing factory order data coming out at 10 a.m. looking like a massive decrease there. Not too unexpected, as we've been seeing our economy continue to contract. We do have our crude oil stock information coming out as always here at 10:30 a.m. And a little bit later in the day, we do get the reciprocal tariff plan announcement at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I think all eyes will be on that. And it's kind of convenient that it's at market close. So only the big players really get to move money around after this announcement. Unless you're in crypto though, because crypto never sleeps. We do have a Fed speaking after at 4:30 Eastern time. So first Fed being able to weigh in right after those reciprocal tariffs is going to be Fed Kugler. We do have balance of trade coming out of Australia at 8:30 Eastern time. So another thing to watch for is going to be that and China's Calvin Services PMI, basically our S&P Services PMI equivalent. So those are the big market movers for that Asia time frame. Let's pull up that Bitcoin chart and say good morning to the chat. I saw Jesse Gulak in here dropping that coffee cup. Good morning to you. I see the Dusty Hunt in here. Good morning to you, sir. We've got Alexander G saying good morning and have a good day. Hope you have a great day as well, Alexander G. Get that coffee in and get prepped for the day. Got Donato Cabrera in the house. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a great day so far. And that's it in the chat so far. Any lurkers, good morning to you. Hope you're having a great day. Let's hop into this Bitcoin chart. We do have a bit of a resistance area to the top side of us right now. I've talked about 85 251 over and over again. We got right back up to that point, and we've started to print a red candle here. You have your oscillators here at a very crucial point where you're printing very light green candles on our MACD and looking to kind of roll over here with your MACD line getting a slight bounce off of the indicator, but coming back down if you're unable to see some money flow coming in today. You do have your prime oscillator looking back to the upside, but it is still red as it is doing so. So just a small little movement off of this bounce off of our old CME gap that we had talked about last week. And at the beginning of the week, we do have our money flow looking like it's slowing up just a little bit on the selling pressure, but still staying very steady on some selling. You do have your volume starting to slow up on that buying volume as well. So a very, very crucial point here as we've got back to 85,251 to really either sweep some topside liquidity, turn this area into some support, and see if we can get above our resistance line that we've been rejecting quite heavily off of the whole way down, or seeing if we reject off of this 85,251 and start to sweep some of that bottom side liquidity that's residing below our CME gap. This is a very crucial point as we're going to see these reciprocal tariffs announced this afternoon. We do have this 4 hour looking like it's at that same little crucial point where we need to make a decision in either direction. We see us bouncing up against 85,251 over and over again on these candle bodies with slight wicks to the top side, but really indicating a lot of selling pressure at 85,251. You have your MACD moving quite sideways here as our indicator line has started to slow up as well, and we started to print lighter green candles on our MACD. You have the prime oscillator also getting that curvature back to the bottom side as your money flow has continued to waffle around. There was some selling pressure, became some buying pressure, is now some selling pressure all over again as your volume is starting to pick back up, but it is some light selling volume. So really bumping up against 85,251 as some strong resistance here, and looking like you might see a little bit of downside action after we grab some liquidity that's right above this resistance area. You do have that 1 hour looking quite similar to a bunch of your higher term time frames, with your MACD moving quite sideways with your indicator line here, printing some lighter red candles here, but your money flow looking to roll over as your prime oscillator is light red and getting some curvature back to the upside, but your volume is starting to switch to some selling volume. So once again, really indicating that this area is a key battle zone for bulls and bears. Looking like this might be another resistance area all over again. We could very easily just range between our old CME gap and this top side resistance area all over again and cool off some of these oscillators here. You have very heavy resistance right above 85,251 now, with that resistance line from the beginning of the range. You do have that 15-minute and the morning looking like you're going to see a little more downside right now, with your MACD getting some heavy curvature as it broke above that zero line. Indicator line also getting that curvature over, starting to print some light green candles here. Money flow just barely in the positive here as your volume has started to slow up a bit on that buying volume, and your prime oscillators getting that rollover here. So looking to see if we can really turn this area where we saw our peaks before that pushback up to 85,251 into some strong support. I'd be looking at 84,475 to kind of hold there to see if we can push back up and grab some of that top side liquidity. Would be a nice little cool off range and a support touch off of the top side before we really got that push back up to 85,251. All right, let's hop into that news article for today, because it is a doozy to break down. I see Ivan Belarus in the chat. Good morning to you. And Joel Vasquez dropping that otter gang in the chat. Let me drop some otters for you there. All right, let's hop over to that news article. If you have any alt requests for the day, go ahead and drop those in the chat for me. I've got plenty of time to look at some assets today. We got Trump is set to announce reciprocal tariffs in a risky move that could reshape the economy. After weeks of White House hype and public anxiety, President Donald Trump is set to announce a barrage of self-described reciprocal tariffs on friend and foe alike. The new tariffs, coming on what Trump has called Liberation Day, is a bid to boost U.S. manufacturing and punish other countries for what he has said are years of unfair trade practices. But by most economists' assessments, the risky move threatens to plunge the economy into a downturn and mangle decades-old alliances. The White House is exuding confidence despite the political and financial gamble being undertaken. April 2nd, 2025 will go down as one of the most important days in modern American history. The White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt said on Tuesday's briefing, while adding that the new tariffs will take effect immediately. The reciprocal tariffs Trump plans to announce follow similar recent announcements of 25% taxes on auto imports, levies against China, Canada, and Mexico, and expanded tariffs on steel and aluminum. Trump has also put tariffs against countries that import oil from Venezuela and plans separate import taxes on pharmaceutical drugs, lumber, copper, and computer chips. None of the warning signs about the falling stock market or consumer sentiment turning morose have caused the administration to publicly second-guess its strategy. The White House trade advisor, Peter Navarro, has suggested that the new tariffs could raise $600 billion annually, which would be the largest tax increase since World War II. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told lawmakers that the tariffs could be capped and could be negotiated downward by other countries, according to the office of Republican Kevin Henry R. of Oklahoma. But the White House has yet to confirm policy details, despite Trump saying on Monday that he had made his decision. Importers would likely pass along some of the cost on to the consumers. The budget lab at Yale University estimated that a 20% universal tariff would cost the average household an additional $3,400 to $4,200. And the administration premise is that manufacturers will quickly increase domestic production and create new factory jobs, and the White House is expressing confidence that Trump's approach is absolutely correct. They're not going to be wrong, Leavitt said. It's going to work, and the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades, and we are focused at restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower. As we have seen before all of these announcements, I have teased it over and over again as companies announced that they'd be moving their manufacturing practices to the United States if these tariffs were put into place. You have places like LG who manufactured refrigerators and air conditioning units, and places like South Carolina who still have those factories open and are just unused. Would be very easy to move those manufacturing practices from Mexico, where they're currently putting these air conditioners and refrigerators together, back to America and boost that American manufacturing. You still do have a lot of auto industry factories that are just sitting unused after that move in about 2010 from the US to places like China and Mexico, where they found their manufacturing could be done a lot cheaper, but with a little less safe standards, and this is where you've seen a big recall on the auto industry increasing year over year over year as we've seen more and more recalls on these automotives that have been manufactured elsewhere. To say you are an American car, but actually have none of your car put together in America and your company is just headquartered in America is kind of a dubious action there. The only people profiting are the people at the top. So having these automotives made again in these places that really, really need jobs like Detroit and your steel factory areas like in South Carolina would be a nice boost to the economy, especially when those are the areas that really, really need jobs like that. So we'll kind of have to see if we can get a nice boost to the auto industry. Another big one there that Trump has talked about is that chips, is our computer chips and our GPUs, which, Biden kind of set the stage for with the American Chips Act, and Trump has leaned into that quite heavily. You do see about 70% of these chips being made outside of the U.S., and some of them made by American companies all over again, which when it comes time for a crucial event in the world, say a war, you are unable to have your army get these chips that are very needed to produce some of the goods there, which leaves us at a big disadvantage. So that's another big one that we've been wanting to move back to the U.S. We'll kind of have to see how that plays out for this afternoon as those tariffs get announced. Another one of those big ones was the oil. Tariffing countries that import the oil from Venezuela, who is another large producer of oil in the world, when the U.S. could really supply all of that oil and really lower the cost of your energy costs for Americans. So we'll kind of have to see if that plays out for the positive. There was that slight increase in the short term on some of the tariffs that you could see on the your everyday American, but in the long term, a lot of these will be negated as things get a little bit cheaper with a stronger dollar. You've already seen your 10-year yield starting to decrease as people have been buying that up. I did see a request for XRP, so we will definitely take a look at that one. Any other alt requests or assets you would like me to take a look at, go ahead and drop those in the chat. Let me pull up my trading view and we will hop over to the S&P 500. I did talk about us wanting to see a small bounce off of the 1618. It looks like we're potentially going to see that today. You do have a lot of these oscillators looking quite similar to Bitcoin as a lot of these lines were moving quite sideways and money flow was either positive but your volume was negative. No different here for the S&P 500. You've got light green candles printing here on the S&P 500 as your MACD and or indicator line are moving quite sideways here. You've got your prime oscillator with some green money flow, just very, very, very minute green money flow, and your volume is some selling volume here. So really at some indecision points across the market, and we're really just waiting for some of these tariffs to be announced this afternoon. We got SWE requested. We will definitely take a look at that one as well. It was one of the outliers this morning, so looking a little bit to the upside as Bitcoin has been ranging and looking like it's rejecting off of one of my key areas. We got what do you think about BTC dominance at the moment? It looks ready to blow. Not good for alts. We can definitely take a look at that one here in a second. We've got that S&P 500 looking like it's going to get back up to our old CME gap first before we really reject to the downside. You're getting a little bit of some sideways movement here with your indicator line getting a little bit closer to that MACD line. So looking for a little bit of a rejection to the upside of us as we start printing these lighter green candles. I was going to take a look at gold as well, because gold made a new all-time high all over again. I did talk about $3,086 being a potential bouncing point, because I did talk about some cool off on gold yesterday morning, and that's pretty much exactly what we saw. We saw us break down to the bottom side of our 1618 on our Fibonacci extension, tried to get that push back up to it, and really saw that turn into some resistance there. Zoom that on in to the hourly, and you can kind of see that MACD and your prime oscillator are sitting at a very crucial zone here. You've got your MACD line looking to break to the bottom side of our indicator line here, with the zero line right below us looking to break to the bottom side with that first red candle here, and your prime oscillator sitting quite green with some positive money flow, but getting that curvature back down. True 7 just switched to red here, as you've got plenty of selling volume after a new all-time high on gold. Watching for a bit of a cool off and to see if we can maintain $3,086 there. If not, you've got that one line to kind of hold us up. That's where we got that really strong bounce off of and a push up to that 1618. Got plenty of a buying pressure coming up that could come back in at $3,085. And if not, that one line, which is $3,078, we'll kind of have to draw a new Fibonacci extension once we make our low in this range. We've got plenty of support below us as well. That platinum pocket could come into play if we really see some heavy selling pressure here, as markets wait to see if there's going to be a tariff on gold or not, because that has been teased quite a lot. We do have your Dixie looking quite worrisome as well. We've talked about it quite a bit. As these tariffs go into effect, you might see a little bit of a shakeout on your dollar, as people are unsure where to put their money, how strong the US dollar is going to be over the long term and the short term. So I think that long term does see a little more upside, as you've seen that 10-year yield really moving to the downside after some buying pressure came in on those markets. That short-term time frame did get a little bit shaken out though. So people seeing good positives for the dollar in the long term, but in the short term they are a little bit worried. That kind of makes a lot of sense, as you do see these tariffs having more impact in the short term than you do in the long term. You've got your one line of our Fibonacci extension here sitting at 103.70. That'd be that area I would want to see hold, but it does look like with how the MACD is getting some curvature here, as it's broken above our zero line, and your indicator line also getting that curvature after printing our first light green candle here, with our prime oscillator also getting that curvature as well, that we might break it back below that. You do have very strong support underneath that zero line at 103.17. So that'd be an area I would kind of watch for some bouncing if you do break below that. Zoom that on out to the daily though, you can kind of see we do have plenty of room to run to the downside. Your MACD also getting that curvature here on our daily, and the prime oscillator looking like you're about to start seeing some reversal signals starting to flash. You do have a little bit of an increase on your buying volume, but I don't think it really gets us back above this resistance zone at 105.39, especially with how the short term is looking for the dollar. Looking for us to potentially hold that 103.18. If not, it's a quick move to the downside and our platinum pocket all over again, and that's going to be 100, pretty much 100 even there. There's plenty of negative space in this area where we could really fill all over again. It was quite a quick move from the platinum pocket to our one line there. So lots of areas to retest in this zone. We got Ada Ace in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Let me drop that link to your channel. If you are not following Ada Ace, you should definitely do so. He is has a great process at making more ADA, which ends up making him more money. He's very big in that ADA ecosystem. So man's a genius at printing more ADA. We got, let's see, Jesse dropping that link to the morning motivational video in 35 minutes of Billy Goat Tales, Pause of Purpose, Unlock Happiness, 3 transformative benefits of dog ownership. I might have to take a look at that one. Well, I'll definitely be there, but I might have to take a deeper look into that one because, you know, I have been needing a little fur baby in my life to kind of give me some boosts. So, you know, there's nothing better than coming home to an animal that loves you unconditionally. So we did have XRP requested. Any other alt requests you'd like me to take a look at? I have plenty of time. It is 6 o'clock and we've got 30 minutes left on the show. So go ahead and get a little wild with those alt requests. I know Jesse normally has some degen requests, so if you got some of those you'd like me to take a look at, Jesse, go ahead, drop them in the chat for me. We got XRP sitting back in our old fair value gap that I had talked about, seeing the midline turn into some support at. That was $2.10, and it looks like we're sitting right above it. You've got us at a very, very crucial area here on our MACD on the hourly, where you've got your MACD line and your indicator line set to cross here. Looking for that volume to increase, but that hourly is looking like it's getting a bit of a rollover here. So as it switched from green to some light red here, you could potentially see this MACD cross be very short-lived and your zero line be some strong resistance here. Looking like you are printing some lower highs in this range. Looking to see if we make another lower low here. You've got plenty of resistance to the bottom side at $2.01. That is the bottom of that old fair value gap there. You do have that prime oscillator also sitting light red, looking like it's getting a little bit of some curvature as your true 7 is red. Got that little move to the downside, but has not clipped out yet. So really looking for a little more downside here to find some strong support. Will really depend on today's data and today's tariff announcement. I do think that pushes markets a little bit to the downside, and with crypto being that only thing open, I think that sees the sell off first. That announcement is at 4 o'clock and market close, so seeing crypto be that first mover in the markets would be something to watch for. Got your 15-minute getting that rollover on your MACD. Also seeing that rollover on your indicator line here. So looking for a little more downside for the morning. You do have your prime oscillator also getting that rollover. True 7 trying to maintain some of this green here, as you do see plenty of buying volume at $2.10. But looking to see if these bears can push things a little bit lower. You do have very strong support at $2.06, where we've seen plenty of bouncing as we've broken back into our old fair value gap. Let's get that drawn out there. Got plenty of bouncing there from these very equal candle bodies. $2.06, where we saw a bouncing back to our midline. Got that push back to the top side, and as we broke back below, saw that bounce all over again at $2.06. looking to try to maintain our midline here on the fair value gap, but it looks like we might lose that all over again. So $2.06 is where I'd potentially look for a little bit of some bouncing. If not, that $2.01 comes back into play for XRP. I see Redmond in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great morning so far. Gonna drop those Billy Goat Tails emojis in the chat for you. Drop those if you got them there. We got EOS has made some nice moves from Jesse. All right, we can take a look at that one. Is that EOS or EO? I'm not sure on that one. And then Quantix AI seems like it might make a nice move in the Ethereum ecosystem. So I will need a ticker for that one, Jesse, because I can't just look up Quantix AI in my search bar there. We had SWE requested. Can definitely take a look at that one as well. All right, let's scroll it on down. We got SWE sitting at that number 11 position. We did talk about wanting to see a strong bounce at $2.17. Looks like we got that the other day and really moved back up to the upside and our platinum pocket there. Let's zoom this on out to that 4 hour, see what we're seeing on the charts. We do have a bit of some ranging price action here where we're getting a nice strong support at $2.17, and we have very strong resistance from these old lows here when we got that pushback up above the golden pocket. Looking like you're seeing $2.78 being a potential point all over again for SWE. You do have that prime oscillator looking back to the upside, but it is sitting quite red here. Your volume is starting to roll over just a bit, but it is some selling volume. So potential for some money flow to come back in here and really push things back to the upside as your MACD is looking very strong to that upside. Got that brief dip back towards our indicator line, but pushing back up with some strong green candles here. SWE has been diverging very, very heavily from Bitcoin price action in the recent time frame. So if Bitcoin gets that move to the downside, like we had talked about this morning, then you could potentially see SWE diverge a little bit more, get that pushback to the upside. You have very, very strong resistance right above us at about $2.52. That's where we got this very strong wick from the bottom and our equal candle bodies here on this 4 hour. Let me zoom that on in so you can kind of see that better. This is where we got our wicking action before we push back up to $2.78. And we got our very equal candle bodies indicating that it's a key battle zone between bears and bulls here. You also saw that very, very quick wick action back up to $2.51 before we really lost that platinum pocket. So key area to turn into some support on a short-term time frame. Zoom that on in to the hourly, see what we're looking at there. We got Quantix AI is QAI. All right, QAI, got that added on the list. I'm not sure if there's an exchange you want me to look at it on, Jesse, but if there is, go ahead, drop that in the chat for me. We got JR in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great morning. We got scalping VVV short right now. Let me get that added on the list. VVV, see what you're looking at there. All right, that 1 hour also looking like it's got a little more room to run to the upside here as your prime oscillator has switched from red to light red to green. You've got that True 7 looking back to the upside with plenty of strong buying volume in this range. We got your MACD breaking above that indicator line, doing it a little bit sideways though, so a potential for that platinum pocket to come back into play before we see that $2.52. Let's see what that 15-minute is showing us. looking like you're going to see that platinum pocket really come back into play as your MACD line is moving quite sideways here. Indicator line getting a little bit of some curvature here, and your true 7 looking back to the downside, but is staying green as that prime oscillator is getting that rollover, but have plenty of buying volume here on that 15-minute. So seeing a little bit of some cool off first before we really get that push back to the upside, and $2.52. This would be that area where we need to either see us turn into some support or to see if it's going to be resistance all over again. If that $2.52 is resistance, that $2.17 looks like a nice zone to buy back in at all over again. All right, we had SWI knocked out. We've got EOS, QAI, and VVV. Let's take a look at VVV first, since we had JR talking about a scalping short. VVV, I'm not sure on what, but we will pull that up on Coinbase and zoom that on out. See what we're looking at for the higher term time frames there. Looks like it's in a bit of a downtrend there. Let's see if we've got some more history on Binance. Got a lot more history on Binance, but not by much. Let's see any other place has a little more history. We got VVV on BitMEX, about the same as that Binance. So looking like we'll just go with VVV on Binance because it has the most history there. All right, we are looking like we're making a little bit of some equal lows here. You've got that potential for $2.31 to be hit all over again, as your higher term time frame is looking like it's about to roll over here on that daily, printing some light green candles here. And you've got that prime oscillator with that money flow heavily in the red. You've got your prime oscillator not getting any sort of reversal signal as we get that curvature back to the upside here. Plenty of selling volume as well. It's not very, very heavy selling volume, but it is very steady selling volume here. So looking for that potential bounce at $2.31. So might be a good scalp short there. Let's zoom that on in to the hourly, kind of pull up a fib of our current range here. We've got the lows to the highs and looking to see where we're sitting. We've got that platinum pocket right above us. Let's move those to the candle bodies. That might give us a little more accurate fib reading. Zoom that on in just a bit. That's where we got those candle bodies to the bottom side. Let's move that to the candle bodies on the top side there. We got 862 there. All right, let's see if that gives us a better reading. It most definitely did, seeing those bouncing actions off of that fibs. Seeing that platinum pocket be some strong resistance here. Scroll it on down, seeing if we can maintain our zero line there. Looking like this hourly is seeing a little bit of some positive money flow, but is sitting at that crucial point just like SWI was on the hourly. You've got our MACD line waiting for a cross of our indicator line, as these red candles on the histogram have slowed up quite a bit, but you're getting some nice heavy curvature here on our prime oscillator with it sitting light red. Got plenty of selling volume here on that hourly, and your money flow looking to roll over just a bit. So potential for that break out of our fib and that $2.31. Let's see what the 15-minute is bringing our way. Heavy curvature on the MACD, our indicator line as well. Prime oscillator sitting heavily red as our money flow is rolling over and our volume is rolling over. So looking like you got in at the right time there, JR. you've got that potential for a zero line bounce at $2.52. If you're unable to maintain that, that $2.31 really comes back into play there. So a few targets for the downside on VVV. All right, let's hop over to EOS, see what we're looking at there. I don't think I've ever taken a look at that one. So EOS. And we'll take a look at it he said, MEXC. It's not on many exchanges. Oh, that's for the quantum AI. All right, we'll take a look at this one on Coinbase. Oh, and it looks like that's the chart I had taken a look at it on. And did get that strong bounce from 55 cent, that 55 cents area, created a bit of a fair value gap there. Let's zoom that on out to our hourly, so we get that those fair value gaps drawn out a little bit better. We got that move from the downside and the move to the upside there. We got a very, very big fair value gap here. Let's make that purple like we like to color our fair value gaps. A very, very big area to retest here. Looking like we're trying to maintain the top side of it, but that hourly looking like it's going to get a bit of some rollover here. Alexandra G saying, don't forget to click that like button. I appreciate you, Alexandra G. I see you, Wayne C, in the chat. Good morning to you, and maybe a Band-Aid as well. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great morning so far. We've got a few fair value gaps here on EOS. Looking like your hourly is seeing a bit of some rollover here as you've started to print lighter green candles on our histogram. Your prime oscillator sitting in that heavily red point, and we've got our third reversal signal that has flashed here. Really waiting on money flow to roll over. You've got your buying volume starting to slow up a bit here, and we've switched from heavy green to light green here. So looking like the top side of this fair value gap might get lost here, and you've got 74 cents being that real bounce zone on the fair value gap. If you're unable to maintain that one, look back to the 236. That's going to be 69.36. Let's zoom this on in to the 15-minute. See if that morning is looking like we're going to break to the downside. We do have oh my goodness, we've got 3 bearish divergences here that have not yet come to call. You've got our reversal signal here with your lower high on the prime oscillator, and it's switching to heavily red here. You've got your money flow starting to stagnate quite a bit, looking for that switch from a buying volume to some selling volume here as you're making lower highs, and really looking for that slow up on the volume as well. Yep, slowing up on that volume from heavy green to some light green here, so that potential for selling pressure here in the morning as we're maintaining very red candles on our histogram, and your MACD is getting that break off of our indicator line, looking like you might try to maintain some of this area here on top of that fair value gap first before you really break back into it. That's where that 74 cents comes back into play. I appreciate you, Alexander G, for dropping all of those links to Ada Ace's channel, his X, and his Hydro Drip Discord, which he will definitely be coming back on to Good Morning Crypto to talk all about. We had QAI requested. Got time to take a look at that, and one more asset as well. So first one with an alt request gets their project looked at. We got QAI, and it looks like it's just on MEXC, like you were talking about, Jesse. 15-minute looking a little bit iffy here. Let's See on, nope, we'll have to zoom this on in a little bit further instead of to the opposite range. We got this sitting on the 5 minute here, getting this candle body from the low, and we're going to go off of the wick to the high there. Looks like we're maintaining that golden pocket with our 50% fib line being a key resistance area. Let's zoom that MACD in, see where it's sitting. Moving quite sideways here, looking for a break to the bottom side here on that 5 minute. Got your money flow sitting in the red, looking like it's about to roll over. True 7 just went red. Your volume is unable to maintain a lot of this range. It is sitting a light red here as your prime oscillator. Also getting that roll over. Got a hidden divergence as well. So looking for that break back down to our golden pocket, and I guess a $78. Wow, that project is quite high. Got a move from $34 all the way up to $152 quite quickly, and then drop back to the golden pocket for some strong support. Looking to potentially maintain that golden pocket all over again. Let's see what that 15 minute is looking like. Got that break to the top side on our money flow. Got your volume stagnating just a bit here as it's looking to roll over. So that 50% fib line looking like some strong resistance here as your MACD's also getting that curvature here on the 15 minute. And your prime oscillator waiting for a reversal signal to flash. So plenty of resistance right at this 50% fib line. We've seen price action unable to get above. Did get above it very briefly before it dropped back below it. So looking to really maintain that golden pocket. If your hourly does get that money flow rollover, which it looks like it is right here, then potential for that platinum pocket to really come into play. You've got your MACD line getting some curvature though and printing some light red candles. So potential for that golden pocket bounce before we move back up. We'll really see that 382 and $134 being that next strong resistance area for QAI. All right. Not seeing any other alt requests. So let's go ahead and take a look at a random project for the morning. Let's oh, I had a Bitcoin dominance asked about. So let's take a look at that, and looking like it's breaking back to the upside here. Got that 1 hour with your MACD cross on our indicator line, printing our first red candle on our histogram. Looking like money flow is maintaining some positive volume here, but your volume is rolling over just a bit. So got that potential all over again to see 62.5%. Zoom this on out to the daily though. See what that higher term time frame is looking like. Looking like it's got plenty of room to run to the upside here. You've got a lot of money flowing into stables and into Bitcoin. So looking for that potential move back up to 64 cents or 64%, where we saw very heavy selling pressure come off of. And that'd be that first real resistance area for Bitcoin dominance. Let's get that drawn out. And you can kind of see here, we're getting that push back to the upside. Looking for more money flow coming into Bitcoin as our MACD line has crossed to the upside of our indicator line. We're sitting above that zero line, printing heavy green candles on this histogram. We've got your money flow looking to maintain some buying volume here. You've got your prime oscillator looking like you might start seeing a reversal signal start to flash. But you got your volume starting to pick up and just switched from red two green here, sitting in that light green area. So Bitcoin dominance getting that move back to the upside, looking at 64.35 to be a bit of a resistance area on Bitcoin dominance. You've got your one line, which would be a support area to see 62.27 would be that area to see us turn into some support here in this range, maintain some of this sideways ranging action. Would really need to see this with stables. So I believe this is without stable coins. We're seeing that at 62%. I don't have that with stable coins drawn up. So let's wind down the show. We've got about 5 minutes before Billy Goat Tails. Good morning. What do you think about chain? Well, there we go. There's our other alt request for the day. Then long alts. Haha. I'm not sure about long alts. Maybe long a few alts. You know, your dino coins like XRP and BNB. Maybe some ADA. Might see a little bit of some topside action, but a lot of these other alts are really seeing some bleeding action back at bear market lows. So SWI might be another one to take a look at for some longs. XLM as well. When we see Bitcoin dominance kind of bleed off just a little bit, that's normally the projects we've been seeing get that pushback to the upside. We had Chainlink requested by Steve Hickey. Can most definitely take a look at that on the BTC DOM reversal. Yeah, and that's where I'm saying just look at those Dino projects, because those Dino projects have been performing. You got Chainlink also sitting at some crucial levels here. This daily looking like you've got the potential for a MACD cross of our indicator line to the downside. Not what you want to see, but you got your prime oscillator moving quite sideways here as you've got plenty of buying volume. Let's zoom this on in to the hourly, see what we're looking at for the day. Looking to try to maintain $13.46. We talked about that price yesterday. Got that strong bounce off of that area. Looking like our MACD is getting a little bit of some curvature here, but has a little bit more room to run sideways as we're printing light red candles on our histogram. Got that curvature of our prime oscillator as well, sitting with a little bit of some curvature. Light red got our first reversal signal flash. Looking at that second reversal signal to kind of flash somewhere over here. Once we get that strong bounce, would look for either $13.01 or to the bottom side at $12.72 if we're unable to maintain $13.51. So looking like we could potentially lose that, as we saw a little bit of wicking action to the downside of 1351, showing a little bit of weakness in that range. We'll see what that 15-minute in the morning might be bringing our way, and looking like a little bit of some downside action. Got your True 7 sitting red here, your volume maintaining some buying volume here, but really looking like that $13.51 is going to be lost, as you're seeing that curvature of our prime of our MACD, our indicator line printing light green candles on the histogram and getting that rollover of our prime oscillator. So potential for $13.02 to come back into play on some Chainlink. Would look to see if we can maintain that as some support there. All right, it is 6:28 and almost time for that morning motivational video. We've got several shows on the Piper Academy. We've got the morning market report at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Piper will break down today's data and talk some more about those reciprocal tariffs that will be announced at 4 p.m. Eastern time. That is a very crucial time for today. Make sure at market close to potentially tune in at the Trade Academy and Joe. I'm sure he will talk a bit about that as well. We got OC show at 7 p.m. Eastern time as well. Another great place to learn how to do TA, just like at the Trade Academy. These two wonderful gentlemen like to break down their thought processes when they look at a chart. It is extremely helpful to new traders and to us that also have experience, just get stuck in our ways and need a little bit of a switch up on how we think about things. Trade Intuition and OCGuy have definitely taught me things, and I've been trading for about 10 years, so a great place to learn. We've also got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto, who just slid into the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're having a great day. I will see you at that morning motivational video here in just a second, and if you have questions about Elliott wave theory, that's the man to ask there. So go ahead, ask him all the questions on his show. Other than that, it is going to be a volatile day because we have those tariffs being announced at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So look for a little bit of some downside action in preparation. Other than that, make sure to wake up because today's going to be a good day.